Happy Monday, everybody, and welcome into the Graham Lincoln Mac Lane podcast presented by Ingles, the official supermarket of Graham Lincoln Mac Lane. Mac, chaos ensued. However, not really for the ACC, actually not at all for the ACC's top teams. So this is ideal for the ACC. You had chaos all over the place. Number 7 lost, number 9 lost, number 15 lost, number 16 lost. And then number 4, number 12, number 22 almost lost. Just exactly what you wanted if you're the ACC. Miami coasts, SMU coasts, Clemson coasts. Pretty good weekend.
It's a great weekend. And it was just anarchy. It's so funny, because we're sitting there and we're watching. We have 20 screens up. Not really. We have like six screens. And we're just watching everything. And really, they can be overwhelming. When we have like 4, 5 noon slots, and you're just like bing, 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 like going all over the place. And then you also try to have on an Ohio State and an Indiana game as well. You're just like, oh my gosh, this is sensory overload. And, because we had a couple of weeks off of that. We didn't have that. We only had 6 games all day. We were loaded up on this week. So it was good to see, though. It was fun. And it's very encouraging, I think, for our league, especially with the AP poll, which y'all know I hate the AP poll. I cannot stand those guys. But with how they moved them, I will say the committee surely to me looks like they've been looking at that AP poll every single week and kind of being reflective of that. So we'll see if that trend continues. Would not be shocked if it isn't. Let's just call a spade a spade. But as KG said, number 5 losing is a huge deal. Number 19 losing, huge deal. 7, 9, all these people in front. 12 looked bad. Boise State did not look good. There's some real opportunity here, for Clemson and for SMU to jump into this top 12. I would not be shocked at all if we see Clemson 12, SMU. I think SMU needs to be ahead of Miami. Let's just be real. They look significantly better and a more complete team, better resume, things of that nature. I think they should be 7, 6, and then Miami in the 8 or 9 range. So we'll see if that's reflective of it. I'm fascinated to see it. In this race, it got more exciting, KG, because it seemed like after Clemson lost to Louisville, it was like, here we go. ACC's going to get one freaking team in, and it's so annoying. And now you're like, is there a shot they get 3 again? Do we feel back confident because all these other people are losing? I think I feel really good about 2. But depending on who and when and what, maybe 3 is a possibility.
Yeah, I think this is literally the perfect weekend. If you're the ACC, this is what you want to happen, and it happened. And Mac, as much as you and I have spent some time hating on the 12-team playoff, it adds so much more intrigue as we get late in the season. Because right now, if we just had a 14 playoff, it would be Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, Penn State, LOL, Notre Dame, whatever. And you wouldn't really have these other teams involved. But that's just so fun to me. To your point with the AP poll, Clemson jumped 5 spots in the AP poll up to 12. SMU jumped 4 spots up to 9. Miami jumped 3 spots up to 8. And I agree with you on SMU and Miami. The Florida win is starting to look better as Florida decides to play.
Yeah.
And I also think Georgia Tech is a good team. So that's, to me, it's not a bad loss when you look at Georgia Tech and how they've looked overall this year. But we're going to spend a little more time big picture on this episode. We're going to talk about the 3 ranked teams and spend a little time on that Georgia Tech game because that game was insane. And then we'll do speed round going through the rest because there's a lot of big picture going on here, Mac.
There really is. And so I kind of wanted, before we even move on to those games, I wanted to just bring up the 3 and how I think, it's really possible for them to get in.
Okay,
I think the way that it would happen is all 3 win out. They win the rest of their games here, which is one more. They win this week, rivalry week for everybody. Clemson does their thing against Carolina. Miami beats Cuse, and then SMU beats Cal. That would put Miami and SMU in. Right. They're in the championship. Clemson's just hanging out. They're just waiting for who's going to fall. Is it going to be an ACC team? Is it going to be the loser of the SEC championship? Whatever. Is the Big 12 even in? Like, are we even looking at them participating, which is fascinating just to see? Crazy, right? So certainly I think to get 3, we still need help. We do not control nobody, really controls how many they're getting in, especially with all these losses and how weird
Except
it
for
is.
the
But so
SEC, Mac,
that's the maybe.
because they
I
have
mean,
a
they're beating
quota.
each other up. They're honestly, Florida and Oklahoma need first round buys. Let's be real. Anyway, when you look at it, I think that's the scenario that has to happen. And then the last piece of it is the highest ranked team of the 3, which I think should
Right.
and will be SMU. If they lose close,
Yeah.
Miami
Yeah.
wins by a 60-yard Borregales field goal, all 3 are in. That'll
Yeah.
happen. That'll happen.
I,
So
I love
that's
that you
probably
broke
what it
that
would
down.
take.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And again, it takes help from others. Others need to lose. Others need to not be able to be in. We'll see. But that could be a really fun situation.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Like, do you root? I don't know if you're a Clemson fan, you obviously root for yourself to beat Carolina. Do you root for Miami? I think you root for Miami to lose because you want to get in the championship so that you can get the automatic.
Right.
But
Right.
for the ACC as a whole, I think you want a Miami SMU title game. And Clemson would almost be playing the Notre Dame role of years past. Like, you don't have to play in a
Right.
championship game, so you
Hang it
don't
out.
have to lose. And then other people lose and blah, blah, blah. And the other thing, too, that we didn't really talk about preseason of, can the ACC get 2 or 3? What would have to happen? The idea of the Big 12 getting skunked, like getting left out of this thing, we didn't really think of that as a scenario, but that is actually the perfect scenario to get 3 in because they're going to put in, for the ACC, they're going to put in SEC, they're going to put 3 of those in. They're probably going to put 3 Big Ten or whatever. That's what you need. And so if you get 3 ACC teams in and the SEC only gets 3, what are we talking about right now, Eric McLean? So
I know.
it really went, shout out to Oklahoma, Brent Venables, handling business. Shout out to Florida. Like, that is exactly what you needed to happen. And it just kind of, I know the SEC wants their narrative of every night's a tough night, but like, your best teams lost to very down Oklahoma and, getting better, but down Florida. Like, you can't just say, oh, we're so elite, we beat up on each other every week. Like, you're losing to these bad teams, these teams that just have not been good all year. So that helps the ACC.
And these were big spreads too, right? Did you remember? Do you know the spreads? I mean, it was big. It was big numbers.
OU Alabama was 14.5, probably something around there.
Right.
Yeah. So
I mean, it's a big deal, and that's why you got to play the game. At the end of the day, and going back to even last season, you got to play. It's not just, well, this is what we think. No, you got to go out there. You have to play the game and see it happen. And it's a fascinating deal. It really is. And just how this all shakes out. You mentioned it earlier about the 12-team playoff and just the excitement. There was a lot of people that were just super skeptical about this. It's going to take away the meaning of the regular season. I think it has heightened it tenfold, KG, because every single weekend it feels like, for the last 3 weeks, 2 weeks for sure, it feels like it's been playoff football because you lose. And then when Clemson lost, it was like, it's over. It's all done. And then they come flying back in, and have a shot here. And so I love it. I think it's fantastic. It's going to be really, really fun just to see, this first iteration, what the home games look like, what that first round bye, how much does that help or hurt because you take more time that you're not playing real football. I just can't wait to see it.
I have one more big picture thing I want to bring up, and then we're going to get to these ranked teams and what they did. I have a legitimate question, and I'm so curious to see what the playoff committee does. Is Indiana going to make this playoff with the one ranked team they've played all year? They get blown out. And then you look at the rest of the team, they haven't beaten a single ranked team. Like, I'm just curious. because I think that affects the ACC tremendously when it comes down to Clemson or a loser of Miami, SMU, or whatever. Do they put Indiana in? Where is Indiana after this week? That is a very, very interesting point to me. And I'm not necessarily saying they should leave Indiana out. Like, you beat who's on your schedule. And somehow Indiana's schedule on the ESPN College Football Power Index, their strength of schedule, okay, it's 51. Their strength of record is 7. Their strength of schedule is 51. So with all that, are they going to put Indiana in? That's one of my big questions.
It will be interesting. I mean, I think I would hate to see them not, just because
I know.
again,
I would almost feel
you,
bad.
you play who you play. Yeah, you
Yeah.
play who you play, and it's not their fault. But you got to
I'm just
control what you
curious.
can, and you had that opportunity, and it didn't look like you were ready. Didn't look like you were ready for the
Yeah.
moment. Outside of about a quarter and some change, it just looked like you got ran out of town.
Also, what does it say about the rest of the Big Ten? That's what I'm curious about. Like you won all
Sure.
these games handily, and then you go get beat by arguably the one or two good
Well,
teams in
that's
your
what
league.
I mean, that's what it's always been, right?
I
And
know.
it's like that for every league. It's like that for every league. It's been like that for Clemson. It's been like that for Ohio State. 1 year Michigan. It's like that for Alabama or Georgia or LSU, whatever, with a couple of different, obviously deeper factors in some of those. But that is what it is. There's that one team that seemingly every year just bulldozes through everybody, and the rest kind of fight amongst themselves.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I will always remain suspect of the Big Ten. But Mac, one thing I'm not suspect on is Roback. Roback has hooked us up with some amazing gear. I'm wearing my new Roback hoodie here. Absolutely love it. The Tempo Performance jogger set, Mac. I've never done this before with anything in my life. I wore it on Friday when I got it in the mail, and I was obsessed with it. And I ate dinner. I was like, okay, can't get anything on it. Then I took it off. I folded it neatly, and I wore it all day the next day. I don't do that. Like there are no clothes that I say, "Oh, I'm just going to do this because I love it so much." That's all you need to know. GM Pod, 20% off. That Mac,
I
I
love that.
literally did that because I loved it so much.
Come on. Well, I got to tell you, I was out and about with the people this weekend, and I had some people asking. People are taking notice. They want to know what the code
Ooh.
was. They want that discount. So Roback, let's go. People are fiending for it. I had my little soft hoodie on, kind of like you just said
Yeah.
there. It's fantastic. It's really really good. Very soft. Just if you're lounging around. I was in a car for 4 hours, and I was like, this feels great. This feels awesome. So as KG said, go to the website, check it out. That sale across the site is still there. You can get that 20% and use our code to get a little bit more. We're going to help you out. We're going to help you out get a little bit more. But that sale is coming to an end, and then our code will continue to get you the 20. So do some shopping throughout. Get your Christmas gifts. It's about that time. We're a month away, okay, from packing season and wrapping season, and that tree better be stocked full. So don't delay too long, but you got to get it going. Roback, use our code GMPOD. 20%. They'll take care of you and get you as comfy and as cozy as me and KG.
Oh yeah. Love it. Absolutely love it. Okay, Mac. Comfy and cozy. That's how Miami, SMU, and Clemson felt this weekend. Miami, maybe not as comfy and cozy. Let's start with Miami. Number 8, Miami beats Wake Forest 42-14. The defense held Wake scoreless in the second half. The defense looked better. Like the defense really only gave up 7 points if you count Damon Claiborne's kickoff
Right.
return, right? So that adds to the points. It still was uncomfortably close. Miami up 20-14 with 13:02 to go. And you're just feeling uncomfortable. You're like, anything could happen. And then, honestly, Wake Forest kind of implodes, and Miami scores 3 straight touchdowns, and then it doesn't really look close. What were your overall thoughts on this game, Mac? It just felt, I don't know. I still, even though Miami won by a bunch of points and covered, it still didn't give me that much confidence in Miami going forward and when they're going to play SMU or whomever.
Right. Well, I will say the second half did. I like what I saw in the second
Okay.
half. But you're right. In the first half, where it's a 6-point game going into halftime, you're just like, golly.
You're like,
We
they
just
do this
learned
every week.
nothing
It's kind of the
in the
feeling,
bye
you know?
week. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it looked more dominant in the second half. It did. And again, you hold a team to sub 200 yards total is
The
fantastic.
defense looked better, for
you know,
sure.
99 passing yards, 94 rushing. Big deal. And that defense for Miami, the defensive front, I mean, they got after it. That was good to see that. 5 sacks, six and some change tackles for loss there, getting their hands on the football.
Yeah.
Scored, had a pick 6, which was good to see. And then, just other guys operating. They rushed for 230. And that was kind of,
That was
what
good,
we were
too.
going back and forth on. What are they going to do?
Yep.
Are they going to run the ball? Are they going to load up Cam Ward and, have his stats and doing his thing? They just have so many weapons. It's fun to see. And Cam will get it to him. Cam's getting the ball out, getting it to different guys. Jacoby George was the target of interest this game. 7
Mhm.
receptions, right under 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. That I believe it was the first touchdown where they were in the red zone about the 10, 13-yard line, and the DB just gave way too much grass. And Cam, yawns, cocks back, throws the
Yeah.
ball, touchdown. And you're just like, what are we doing? It's crazy. It was really, really, just a fun game to see, especially the second half. Good to see him bounce back. I think some momentum they can hopefully keep riding and keep going. Um, the one thing that I'll say that just it's really started to irk me because it did lose them a game, and this one it made it tighter than it should have been. You have to know at the QB position. I know it's what he does. I know he creates. I know he does unbelievable things, but you have to know when the play's dead.
Yeah.
Stop
Yeah.
with the extracurriculars. Stop with the crazy flipping it to the middle of the field, turn them. Because if you do that against SMU, if you do that against Oregon, if you do that against Notre Dame, whoever, Georgia, you will lose. You're going to lose. And so, let's play winning football. Let's take care of the ball, continue to be who we are. But just the little thing right there. And it's just one. It's just one bad play that can really change everything. And so that's my only stickler. I loved everything else about it. And again, I still think he's the best quarterback in the country. And when he's on, I mean, it's dangerous. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, and part of what makes him so good is that he does take some of those risks, and most of the time they work out. It's just kind of like you said. There's one play a game where you're like, no, like don't do that.
Yeah.
There's just no reason to
Yeah.
do that. And the other, 39 passes that he throws are solid and they're good plays, but there's
Right.
generally one. And like you said, against SMU, against Oregon or whoever you play, that can really come back to bite you. And it did against Georgia Tech. The defense did look a lot better. I think that's really what we wanted to see because the defense at
Yes.
times had really given up too many points. The Miami offense, to your point, Mac, they have weapons all over the place. Like they're going to score. They wore Wake Forest down. They scored 42 points. I'm not complaining about 42 points. Like that's great. That's going to win you a bunch of games. But the defense looking better, being able to run the ball a little more, it was all good. I'm not trying to be nitpicky. It was just you played around with Wake a little too long. In the end, a 22-0 fourth quarter, you finish. But we'll see. I don't think you can. I don't think you're going to want to play around with Syracuse just because their offense is that explosive. And obviously, you need that game. So I feel like you need to see a little better performance versus Syracuse.
Yeah, and you'd like to build some insurance, build it. Again, I feel like I've been speaking about this for 3 weeks for all these teams who are making a playoff push. You have to prove it with the eye test. You have to show these committee members that we are for real. And when we get in a game, it's going to be exciting. These are the answers that we have, and we're just blowing people out. Let us in, type of thing. So you've got one more shot of that in the regular season. And you have to make the most of it. You have to put on a show. You have to build that resume and strengthen it as much as you can with whatever kind of factor you think matters the most.
Yeah. And you're playing an 8-3 team with a win over another good team, UNLV, that's ranked, and this team isn't ranked. I'm just kind of annoyed by that. But a good Syracuse team, a team going for 9 wins. So you got to be ready to go. And playing up in the Dome, I think that place is going to be rocking. Mac, let's get on to SMU. Now, this game, SMU absolutely handled. Number 13, SMU beats
You're
Virginia.
talking about ACC participant championship SMU. Clinched.
Yeah. They clinched. First year in the league, really blown away. Honestly, did not expect this. I don't think anybody did. I don't think Rhett Lashley would tell you he expected to be in the ACC championship. Obviously, that was their goal, but I'm not sure anybody expected this. This was absolute domination. Virginia's got some issues. He went with Calandria. You didn't see Tony Muskett. The students were chanting Muskett. That was weird. A lot of different injuries for Virginia, but SMU just phenomenal. Kevin Jennings had, I think it was second quarter, where he scrambled, he escaped, he rolled left, and then he ran all the way back around, basically got to the line of scrimmage, and then dumped it off. And you just think, God, like, Kevin Jennings, he'll also have maybe one play a game where you're like, I don't know. But I'm not saying he's Cam Ward. He's got some Cam Ward in him. Like he's almost, to me, he's right there behind Cam Ward.
Sure. Why not? I mean, in the creativity department, for sure. And it was funny. Our guy, De'Aaron King, was on Twitter and he quoted that play. I can't remember if ACC Network posted it or SMU posted it or what, but he was like, no, yes. And that's what it comes with. And it's hard. And we've spoken to a lot of different coaches about this, specifically Miami and SMU, about how do you coach that? Like, how do you critique it? Because at the end
It
of the day,
worked.
I don't think you're hypercritical. I don't think you're super, bashing and trying to, take that out of their game, because that is what makes them special. And quite frankly, we saw that at Boston College, and it totally ruined Thomas Castellanos. He was not the same quarterback because I think they tried to take that away. You see the very different results on, okay, let's get to the sideline. Hey, bud, you can't do that. You can't make that play. Let's move on to the next one, versus totally handicapping a guy and
Sure.
taking away what is his best asset. But at the end of the day, that's coaching. And the coaches have to be cool with that. And they have to understand there might be a little bad with the unbelievably you can't coach what they're doing type of thing. So
Right.
I like it. I think that Rhett and Coach King there are cool with it, and they're going to make it within the system. He just, every week, Kevin Jennings is getting better. And 300-yard game after 300-yard game like it's nothing. The efficiency of this offense, though, KG, and really this team, I think this is the most complete team in the ACC. They're
Hmm.
fighting for a spot as most complete team in the country. All three phases activated and playing at a really high level right now. That's why I think these guys should be the highest ranked ACC team. 9 sacks, 12 tackles for loss, getting their hands on the football. Like they're freaking good. They're fun to
Yeah,
watch.
they're really good, Mac. And one thing that I don't think is talked about as much nationally, probably because your average national person doesn't realize this actually happened, but I think you have to give Rhett Lashley. I think this season has been a coaching masterclass by Rhett Lashley. And one of the
Yeah,
reasons I say that is because you take Preston Stone, who is a beloved quarterback at your university, who basically, I know Kevin Jennings had to come in for the championship game, but won you your conference last year, was tremendous in every way, shape, or form. And you bench him. Like that takes guts to do what Rhett
yeah,
Lashley did. SMU, and this is nothing against Preston Stone, SMU with Preston Stone is probably 9-3. But SMU with
sure.
Kevin Jennings can make the playoff, maybe 8-4, whatever. You can go whatever way you want, but that takes a lot of guts. There are coaches that wouldn't do that. And also shout out to Kevin
Right.
Jennings for staying at SMU because after that championship game, he probably could have gone elsewhere. So there's just a lot at play there that I'm not sure happens everywhere or that people are really
Yeah.
aware of really what went down to that quarterback position.
No question about it. Coaching matters. And this guy, Coach Lashley, if he's not in the discussion, or if he's not in the discussion to win it, he better be in there as a finalist, coach of the year nationally. I know everybody
Yeah.
want to give Signetti his props, which cool, great. But this guy got him to the championship. This guy moved up a level and had to
Yeah.
do it that way.
Yeah.
It's not like he was in, the ACC and had players that were ready to go there, whatever. So I think it's a better job. Obviously, I'm a homer and I'm biased, but it is what it is, and it's been fun to watch. I will say this: I kind of alluded to the what needs to happen for Miami to take their next step to
Mhm.
ultimate whatever. I think for SMU, the final piece of this puzzle to where they're pretty close to unbeatable is Kevin Jennings running. I want to see
Mm.
more of that yardage wise, getting down. And maybe it's design, maybe it's not, but use that asset because he is
Okay.
freaky with his speed. And I would love to see that a little bit more because, again, you get advantage with the blockers, you get hat for a hat. You saw what Kay Klubnik was able to do when he had that opportunity. He has that too. And I just think back to my Clemson days with Taj Boyd, with Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence after that, Kelly Bryant after that. Like Clemson was at their peak when they have a very good running quarterback, and you're seeing them get back to that. I think SMU, very similar, can be that as well.
And you really, you don't need to run them against Virginia. Like maybe we see a little
Right.
bit more of that in the ACC championship game. You want to save a few things and, of course, protect your quarterback. Okay, Mac, let's talk about Clemson really quickly, and then we will do speed round and run through. It's Citadel. I know we didn't learn too much, but rested some guys. I think the biggest thing that we saw was Jay Haynes and him
Yes.
getting some reps, which is what we talked about. 5 carries for 118 and 2 touchdowns. Phil Moff had 3 carries. That's exactly. Honestly, I would have preferred he had 0. And just to get kind of some of that confidence for Haynes, for him, for the guys blocking for him. Like, this is a solid number 2 if we need him. And then to get Wesco back in the fold a little bit more, that bomb he caught from Klubnik, that's a really good sign because you're going to need both of those guys moving forward, Mac. So overall, and of course, Barrett Carter getting a rushing touchdown, that was kind of crazy. But what else did you gather from this game, if anything?
Yeah, I think that, going into it, what we wanted to see was a running back number 2. Who's it going to be? We knew it was Jay Haynes. We didn't know why he wasn't getting more carries, things of that nature. And my gosh, did that deliver. I mean, that 70-yard touchdown run looked like old number 9, okay, with one cut, speed, take off, get loose. And
I'm sorry.
It's weird to me, KG.
To realize what you were saying. You're comparing him to Travis Etienne?
I said it looked like him. I said it looked like him. Phil Mappa doesn't look like him. That looked like him.
Okay. All right.
Hey, he wore a ball, and he was fast. And that's right. But that's what I'm talking about. It would have been nice to see that all year long. Thunder and lightning. I want my big, nasty back, and then I want a guy that can make one cut and hit a home run, and I'll never understand why, but hey, I mean, they're 9-2. It worked out. It's fine. It is what it is. But, maybe moving forward, we see a little bit differently. You saw Cade Klubnik, obviously be the second leading rusher and how electric he's been, with his legs. And I think that's the biggest growth maybe for him, pocket presence and legs. And he admitted that. And then, like you said, the downfield throws, continuing to bomb it out, 50-yard pass, 30-yard pass, 20-plus yard pass. That's when Clemson's firing on all cylinders, and the guys that you mentioned getting involved. So the other thing I wanted to see was 60 minutes of good defense. I saw like 2 minutes of good defense. So this defense still one of the biggest disappointments in the league when you just talk about what you thought it could be. The potential's there. The bursts of greatness are there. It's just such a lack of consistency, KG. It's mind-boggling. It's really, really weird. And honestly, we'll talk about this more. If I'm South Carolina, I'm running the ball until you stop it. I'm running it 1,000 times. And I'm running a little option, too, with my big quarterback that looks like Cam Newton. So you better get ready, Tigers, because that's something that, man, giving up almost 300 yards rushing to the Citadel, their season high coming into Death Valley, it's just a little embarrassing. But you got the dub. You won by 100 points. Whatever. Great.
Okay. I hear you, Mac. I understand. And I do think the defense is, if you ask any Clemson fan, what's your concern for South Carolina? It's probably the defense. But let me just say this, Mac. College Game Day is missing out, not choosing to come to the Palmetto Bowl in Clemson, South Carolina for Clemson versus Carolina. Maybe the game with the highest stakes that we've ever seen in this Palmetto Bowl. A de facto playoff play-in, perhaps. These two absolutely despise each other. And I really appreciate, someone asked Dabo Swinney recently about ESPN or the ACC or whatever, asked Clemson and Carolina to move their game to Friday. And Dabo's like, I'm not doing that. Like, we're not doing that. We played this game on Saturday. It's for the businesses in this, for Clemson and Columbia, whatever. And I just appreciate, and I don't know who all made that decision, but I appreciate that. Like, there are some things that are sacred, and playing this game on Saturday not moving it to like a weird Friday slot. No, it's sacred back. So I can't wait.
I agree. I'm right there with you. You know what else is sacred? My friends at Ingles. And I just realized that I've had Roback up here way too long. And I got to get him out. Love you, Roback. See ya. Ingles is back. Those guys doing their thing. So you're welcome for the freebie there, Roback. But these guys, let me just tell you, KG, last week we threw down. I did the chili. It was unbelievable. It was so much fun. 3 pounds. You saw it. The ball of meat. It looked like a basketball sitting there doing its thing. When I took it off and just broke it open, it was like an Easter egg. It was like an Easter meat egg. And the insides were unbelievable. Crunch it up in there, get the chili. And then I cooked it. So that was like 3.5 hours. I then waited another 4 hours, smoking the heck out of it. It was so, so good. It was unbelievable. I still have some in my freezer. I just was reminded that by myself. I can't wait to have it tomorrow.
By myself. Mac is he's on a different level. We will talk to you throughout this week with all of the great stuff we have coming out about Thanksgiving prep. because I'm making grandma's stuffing, and I'm obviously going to be heading to Ingles for all my ingredients. Probably doing that tomorrow. Want to kind of beat the crowd. So we'll keep you
Of
posted
course.
on that. Yeah. But let's get to a message from our great friends at Ingles, and then we'll run through our speed round.
Did you know that Ingles sells more organics than any other store? Or that they run their own dairy? Or that they only serve USDA choice and prime meat? Did you know that they have more local craft beer than any place else? Or that they have energy smart stores? Or that they professionally slice and package imported cheese from Europe? Did you know about their giant international aisle, local farm partnerships, curbside pickup, wine department? Or that they donate 3,956 meals a day to local food banks? Well, now you do. It's all in the bag. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
Okay, Mac, let's start with the Thursday night game. This was probably the craziest game of the weekend. Georgia Tech beat NC State 30-29. This game was absolutely wild. Here's what I'm going to say after this one, Mac. As much as I respect Haynes King, he's too beat up. Aaron Philo is the truth. Start that man against Georgia. That's what I have to say. Dude is the truth. Made plays, game-winning touchdown. Massive win for Georgia Tech.
He is a freak. And I think he proved he's ready for the moment. And,
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
going into the game, it sounded like they were okay with getting some 1-2 yard runs. Like they knew, okay, these guys are going to try to shut it down, do their thing. And Philo delivered. And you're going to hear more from it. Breaking news, we have Coach Key coming on tomorrow. You're going to hear his thoughts on the game. We've got a lot of content. I can't believe it's taken us this long to talk about this. We'll share more in a second. But he breaks it all down, kind of that last drive, what he was thinking, what Philo saw, all these different things. When he identified that it was two-man, and if you guys want to back up 2.5 years to when Clemson and Georgia played in Charlotte, and I'm sitting here saying, it's two-man, just run. DJ, go, run. You can win the game. He did it. And guess what? He won the game. He picked up 18 yards on back-to-back runs, one of those being an 18, 20-yard touchdown. Walk off. See you later. That's great. And that's a true freshman. That's not a junior. That's not a guy that sat and learned and does all this stuff. He got it. He's got it. Prince Avenue, shout out. Coach Rick's son, that was his OC. Shout out. He taught him. He taught him well. So I'm right there with you. It was fantastic. A great effort. Great game. CJ Bailey, I know he had all the turnovers in the world throwing the football, but he was running like a crazy man. The future's bright for the quarterback position, both those guys. I expect them to make some noise next year, both of them, just in regards to QB play.
Yeah. I want to see Aaron Philo released on the Georgia Bulldogs. Please give me that.
I think you're going to. I think he proved it. I think he proved he could handle it.
And
Obviously, on the road at Georgia is different, but let's go. Let's go to work.
And it's not a knock on Haynes King. He's not healthy. Like he can't throw the ball.
He's not healthy. So. It's part of it. He's a great player. He's a great player.
Yeah. Okay. Duke, Virginia Tech. Duke beats Virginia Tech 31-28. Mac, you were there. Malik Murphy throws 3 interceptions, and Duke survives. Virginia Tech down to their third string quarterback. That was rough. Eli Pancol was amazing. Crazy game. Now the winner of Virginia Tech goes bowling, and the loser stays home. Wild.
Yeah. Can't wait. Because we'll be there. We'll be there this week. Here's some fun news for you, KG. I know you've been to Virginia Tech a lot. You know that it gets rather cold there. The temperature for our late night show is 24 degrees.
No. See, I call indoor sports, Mac. Nah, I'm out.
Can't wait. It's going to be awesome. Cannot wait. Anyway, this game was nuts. Started off with a bang. You saw Malik Murphy just letting it rip. 80-something, 70-something yard touchdown to Eli Pancol. Then the next series, he does it again. This dude's stats were looking like Randy Moss. Really, really fun. He's been through so much adversity. Eli Pancol has had multiple season-ending injuries. I didn't even think he was going to be playing this year. Yeah. Actually, quite frankly, I didn't know he was even on the team this year until I saw him in when I was there for summer camp. I'm like, wait, how are you still here?
Yeah,
what are you doing?
Sixth year.
This is like year 12. More than that, it feels like. But yeah, he is a 6th year. Has gone through all 3 of these coaches.
Oh my God.
Cutcliffe, and seeing that change to Elko and then now to Manny. And just a guy that's been a piece of this, a big piece of the foundation. And for him to have that as senior night, the last ever time that he'll play in Wallace Wade, really, really cool. And awesome for us to be there and to see it in person.
Yeah, great point, Mac. Okay, Syracuse beats UConn 31-24. this game was uncomfortable, and it just felt like Syracuse couldn't put
Yeah.
them away, made some mistakes, but you win the game. That's all that matters. Maybe looking ahead a little bit to Miami. I also think UConn is a decent team. Cal McCord career high,
They're good.
470 passing yards.
Crazy.
Yeah, be
The
ice in
fact
the
that
arm, Mac, like, whew.
I went on the Underdog Fantasy app,
Yeah.
the easiest place to play fantasy. And I looked at that number and I was like, it feels weird. I don't know if he'll go higher than 290.
And I
he
took
doubles
it.
it. Makes me feel like you did? See, you're so smart.
Yeah,
You're so
yeah.
smart. Go to Underdog Fantasy. Trust Kelly. Do not listen to me. Use our code GMPOD up to $1,000 in bonus cash, and always go with Cal McCord at home to do whatever he's going to do. He's an absolute freak. That was fun to watch. You say it was weird. It was weird because the score was close. I never was like, Syracuse might not win this game.
I
I
agree.
always felt like they were good. But then I look at the score, I'm like, why is this a 3-point game right now? Like, what is happening?
It was kind of like Miami Wake early. I feel you. I didn't think Syracuse was going to lose. Mac, like you said, use our code GMPOD. I did win $30 this weekend on Underdog Fantasy. So shout out.
You and Coach Lashley, if I could borrow $1 anytime, that would be great.
Pena he scored a touchdown even though he only had 2 catches, but he went out with injury. Fran Brown said he's okay. That is good news for Syracuse against Miami. All right, Mac, maybe the weirdest result. Boston College blows out North Carolina 41-21. BC they feel better at home. They play well at home. Grayson James took care of the ball. Criswell did not. He threw 3 picks. One of those returned for a touchdown. BC ran all over him. It felt like UNC hit bowl eligibility, and then they're like, okay, we're fine. And like, you're not, though. It was just a weird game, but credit to BC.
Yeah. BC ran it 51 times for 230 yards. I mean, just they've got their game plan. This is what they want to be. This is who they want to be. Very NFL-ish, very pro style. I did see Grayson James make some elusive plays. I mean, he was doing some impressive stuff. But at the end of the day, I mean, this was a thrashing. Did not think that we would see something of this nature. And it was bad. It was almost as bad as Louisville-Pittsburgh.
Great transition, Eric McLean. Louisville blows out Pittsburgh 27-9. I really thought Pittsburgh, I don't know. I mean, both these teams were coming off terrible losses for different reasons.
Yeah.
I think I'm just going to give a lot of credit to Louisville for bouncing back, because you could have really let your season turn. And now with a win over Kentucky, you can win eight wins or 8 games and then a 9th in a bowl game. And then Holstein starts, he gets hurt. Yarnell comes back. Yarnell looks terrible. I'm the biggest Nate Yarnell fan out there. I don't know what happened. Isaac Brown was back. He looked really good. This was just kind of a disaster for Pitt.
It really was. And a disaster in a hurry. I mean, these guys got out and jumped on them and scoring a bunch of points very quickly. This is like Louisville is developing a very nice identity with these young running backs toting the rock. I mean, you got one guy with 93 who looks fantastic in Isaac Brown, a couple of touchdowns, and then Duke Watson. That 1-2 punch is going to be a terror for the next 2.5 years in the ACC. Those guys are really fun to watch. Louisville is going to be a team to monitor moving forward. They're going to lose a lot of guys this year, but you have that core of those 2 running backs that you have to think a lot of people are going to want to play with.
And please beat Kentucky. Please. Cal beat Stanford 24-21. Honestly, Cal didn't really play well. They didn't have any business winning this game, but that final drive, 11 plays, 98 yards, Fernando Mendoza, who's crying in the postgame this interview. That's what we love about college football. Just a crazy comeback for Cal.
It was so much fun to see that interview. I love this kid. It's so fun to watch him. Just sitting there saying, these are my guys, 98 yards. This is the best day of my life to date. I was like, way to specify. Very nice. And that's true, though. I mean, so much, as you know, KG.
Awesome.
So much goes into winning. It is hard to win in sports. And, when you're waking up at 5 a.m. to run stadiums or to watch film or to get up shots or to get extra conditioning, that's why you do it, is to be able to have those game-winning drives where you walk down the field and you win the big game. It's really, really cool. Something those guys will never forget. He's etched into Cal history forever because of that.
He also played really well. I mean, I like him. I like what he's doing at Cal this year. Okay, Mac, our final game. Florida State, baby, let's go. They beat Charleston Southern 41-7. I'm happy for you, Florida State. Now go do the funniest thing of all time and beat Florida. That would just
Please.
go do it. That would be
Please.
hilarious. And good.
The Knowles
Good
are
for them.
back. Can't wait to see it. These guys are right back in the championship next year. Here we go. Let's go.
You said it.
I'm joking. Not serious.
Okay. We got to get out of here, back. But we got
We got to go.
more coming at you. Georgia Tech episode coming out tomorrow, Tuesday. Clemson episode, Clemson Carolina preview coming later in the week. So stay tuned.
Cannot wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're trying to go all 5 days. We'll see. Some more things may shake out. They might not. We'll see. Y'all stay tuned. It's a busy week. It's rivalry week. It's turkey week. We're going to have a lot of Thanksgiving content coming your way too. I cannot absolutely wait for that. We appreciate you guys so much. Always your support. Go over and continue to subscribe on YouTube. Leave some comments. Tell us what you think about this crazy weekend. We got to hear it. And tell me what you think about the ACC getting 3 teams in. Are you with me with that and kind of how I laid it out? Or do you think I'm crazy and a homer, which is fine. Either way, I hope it happens. So we'll see there. Of course, the OGs over on Apple Podcasts, Sirius XM, greatly appreciate your support there as well. But until next time, we'll see y'all.